Hello, welcome back to my channel. So I am super excited about today because I am starting a 5-episode series for y'all. So if you haven't paid attention to your calendars lately, Thanksgiving is exactly 6 Thursdays away, which means for the next 5 Thursdays, I'm gonna be posting vegan Thanksgiving recipes. So this video is gonna be vegan Thanksgiving sides. That's actually gonna be 2 parts. I'm gonna do 2 vegan Thanksgiving side videos because there are so many options. And then we will have a Thanksgiving main dishes video, vegan Thanksgiving desserts, and a vegan Thanksgiving appetizers video to help y'all, especially if you're new vegan or you're hosting this year, or you just want to go to your family's Thanksgiving and bring a couple yummy dishes so you know you have something to eat. These will be really, really helpful for you. So today what we're gonna make 3 sides. I'm gonna make maple mustard glazed rainbow carrots. I'm gonna make a craisin and almond roasted Brussels sprouts dish. And we are gonna make mashed potatoes with a sausage milk gravy. So I'm gonna get all the veggies prepped and then I will come back to y'all and show you how we're gonna make this. All right, so now that I have all of my veggies prepped and cleaned for you, we're gonna get started on making our side dishes. So we're gonna start with the veggies that are gonna roast in the oven first, because those are gonna take the longest. And then once we get them in the oven, we'll be able to work on our potatoes and on our vegan sausage gravy. So first thing we're gonna prep is our Brussels sprouts. You want them in a single layer in a 9x13 pan. If you're making a bigger batch, then you're gonna need a bigger pan. You can also make these on a sheet pan. And then we're just gonna put a drizzle of olive oil, a little bit of sea salt, black pepper, and then garlic to season them. And then once they're fully seasoned, we're just gonna toss it all together to make sure that everything is well incorporated and each of the sprouts has a decent coating of oil. This is gonna help those outer leaves to crisp up and get really, really that yummy charred roasted flavor. Now you'll notice we're not putting the almonds or the craisins into our 9x13 pan. This is because they will burn. The craisins will become inedible and the almonds will turn black. So we just roast our Brussels sprouts. Everything else kind of goes on at the end as a delicious garnish, and I'll show you that towards the end of the video. So we're gonna pop these in the oven. Now you'll see I have my oven at 400 degrees. I actually turned it down to 350 to give them time to roast without rushing me through everything else. And then we've got these beautiful rainbow carrots. You can use regular carrots. I just think rainbow carrots are so beautiful on a holiday table, and we're really trying to wow our guests here. So I highly recommend rainbow carrots, but if you can't get them or if you just prefer the orange ones, that's totally fine too. So we're just gonna do equal parts of the maple syrup to equal parts of mustard. But before that, we're of course gonna season our carrots. You wanna season every layer. Do not rely on the mustard and the maple syrup to season your carrots. Everything needs a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. So we put a drizzle of olive oil, and then we're gonna add just shy of 1/3 of a cup of our Vermont maple syrup. This is the bourbon barrel aged from Trader Joe's. It's really, really good, but you can use any maple syrup. Just definitely try and use real maple syrup and not the maple syrup made out of corn syrup. It's not gonna give you the same richness of flavor. Then in our measuring cup, we're gonna mix about 2/3 of the stone ground mustard to 1/3 of the Dijon mustard. If you're not a Dijon mustard fan, you can do this fully with stone ground. I just like the kick you get from Dijon mustard, so I add it in. And we're gonna add this. You can see it's just shy of 1/3 of a cup on this as well. Add that to our carrots. I was gonna mix the maple syrup and the mustard together in that little Pyrex bowl, but then realized I was just gonna make an extra dish. At Thanksgiving, there's already a lot of dishes. just mix it in your little pan. Again, this is a small portion of carrots because I was just making it for my small family to show you guys. You can definitely make this a bigger batch in a 9x13 or even roasting like a bigger roaster. So I added the salt, and then instead of black pepper, I'm gonna add a dash of cayenne pepper. You can add as much or as little as you want of the cayenne. We like a little kick in my family. If you don't like spicy at all, just use black pepper. And then again, we're just gonna mix our veg together. Look how pretty those rainbow carrots look. We're gonna mix it together till we make sure each carrot has a good coating of the mustard and the maple syrup. And then we're gonna pop these in the oven right with our Brussels sprouts. I'm gonna put a lid on these because with my carrots, I prefer them to be a little more steamed than roasted. But if you like your carrots to have kind of that brown outer exterior with the roasted flavor, go ahead and leave the lid off. All right, and now that our roasted veggies are in the oven, it's time to get started with our potatoes, and then the star of the show, our vegan sausage milk gravy. So for the potatoes, you're just gonna wanna put them in a big pot of salted water. Make sure you always salt your water. This just adds flavor. You should be seasoning every food from step one to the final step when you do your finishing salt and your finishing little flares to it. So we're gonna put all these potatoes into a pot. And you'll know they're ready when they start kind of floating and you can poke them easily with a fork. And now we're gonna get onto the sausage gravy. So you're gonna need your Gimme Lean veggie sausage, your vegan butter of your choice, vegan milk of your choice, just make sure it's unsweetened. This is so important, nobody wants a sweet gravy. And then of course, garlic, salt, and pepper. You can make anything taste good with these three seasoning, guys, I promise you. And then you're gonna need flour to thicken up your gravy. So we're gonna start by browning our sausage. I just used a half a package of the Gimme Lean sausage and it made actually a decent amount of gravy. So I would say you could get away with half a package unless you're cooking for about 8 or more people. Then use a full package and make a bigger pot of gravy. So you're gonna brown this up in your pan. You don't want to overcook this, guys. It is not real meat, it's vegan meat, so if you overcook it, it gets kind of funky. But once it's crumbled and looks the texture of breakfast sausage in your pan, you're about ready to start assembling the rest of the gravy. So we're gonna add butter. Typically, non-vegan meat has fat in it for you to cause the roux with, but we don't have that here. So we're gonna add our vegan butter. Don't freak out, you guys are cooking for a bunch of non-vegans. Today is not the day to be healthy. So we added about 3 to 4 tablespoons of vegan butter, and we're just gonna mix it in the pan, and then we're gonna add about 3 tablespoons of white flour right into our pan. You definitely wanna add your flour before you add your liquid, because what happens is if you add your liquid and then you try and put your flour in, you're gonna have clumpy gravy. Nobody wants clumpy gravy, trust me. So this is what we call a roux. You're mixing a flour into a fat. You could take your sausage out for this. I don't find it necessary, but we're just gonna toast this a little bit so you don't have a raw flour flavor. And then once we feel like it's fully mixed and toasted and the flour is cooked, then you can go ahead and add your plant milk. So now I'm gonna add almond milk. Now I don't measure, this was about 2 cups. I just went just about before it covered my bigger chunks of meat, and that's about the right amount of milk. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. So always err on the side of less is more. And then you just need to stand here and stir and mix and stir to make sure you don't get clumps. As you stand here over the heat stirring, I promise you it's gonna thicken up. You just need to give it time. And look, you can check your potatoes at the same time. Multitasking at its finest. And then we're gonna season our gravy. I season just little bits at a time into my gravy, especially when there's sausage to add so much flavor. Taste everything as you go and season accordingly. But again, it's just salt. We like a lot of pepper in our gravy in my family, at least in our milk gravy. So I add a decent amount of pepper and just a dash of garlic. I'm just a garlic girl. I think everything tastes better with garlic. You could also add onion powder, cayenne pepper, kind of make it your own. See what I mean about that black pepper? We just like a peppery gravy in my house. This gravy is also really good for breakfast over biscuits. So if you're a biscuits and gravy fan and you've been missing them, make this gravy. All right, now on to our potatoes. A little tip is to put your wet ingredients in the bottom of the pan you're gonna mash your potatoes in. One, if you put it in about 5 minutes before you mash your potatoes, they're gonna get room temperature and they're not gonna cool off your potatoes. But two, the heat of the potatoes will warm everything up and they'll be easier to incorporate. Again, this is not a healthy day, guys. We're impressing our non-vegan friends. Salt and fat are gonna be your friend. So about 4 tablespoons of butter and half a cup of plant milk, and just mash, 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 mash. Now you can whip these as well. I prefer chunky potatoes, but feel free to put a hand mixer in there and whip them up. And then we're just gonna season these. Again, taste as you go to make sure you don't have too much or too little seasoning. So just a little garlic, salt, and pepper. I ran out of my sea salt, so I had to use table salt. Not the end of the world. And then the fun part, once everything's done, we're gonna assemble. So I'm gonna put the Brussels sprouts on this really pretty tray. I really think they're the star of the show. You'll see what I mean once I get them done. So we're gonna lay them in a single layer. Look at the beautiful crisp brown leaves on the outside. These were so good. My husband and I devoured them. So once you get them laid out in a pretty single layer on this tray, we're gonna add our garnishes. So we're adding slivered almonds and craisins. You could toast your almonds if you want to, definitely not necessary. Just sprinkle them evenly around the top so everybody gets a good amount in their dish. And then once we have them covered with the almonds and the craisins, we're gonna take our balsamic glaze and we're just gonna drizzle a fairly generous amount over the top. And that's it. There's your Brussels sprouts. So easy, you pretty much put them in the oven, forget about them, and garnish, and you have this beautiful dish. Then our carrots are ready. I wasn't thinking when I went to the store today, I would definitely get some fresh parsley and just garnish this bowl with some fresh parsley, but that's all you have for the carrots. And then we're gonna put our mashed potatoes into our cute Thanksgiving bowl. I really think serving dishes make all the difference in just impressing your guests when you have them over for Thanksgiving, so I was really grateful to get, these are my mom's old Thanksgiving dishes that now I have because she doesn't need them where she lives. We're plating our gravy. I need a gravy bowl, y'all. That's the one thing I don't have. And here you go. We have 3 beautiful, delicious Thanksgiving sides that I promise you will impress your guests. I hope you try these out. Let me know if you're making them for Thanksgiving, and I will see you next week with another 3 Thanksgiving sides. Comment down below if you have a Thanksgiving side you really want to see, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.